The Hangout is live on the air, gentlemen.
Okay.
That's wonderful. So, I'm going to see. So, to all of our YouTube viewers out there, our good friend Technical Difficulties has reared its ugly head once again, and we are struggling to get our co-host, Chaz, on the show. Because the man that you see in the white t-shirt is clearly not Chaz. But if we can't get Chaz on the show, not only will I be a sad panda, but Chaz will be a sad panda too, because Chaz loves it when we have guests on the show. But, hey, we do what we can, and we're not going to waste too much more time since it is now almost 20 minutes after 10 o'clock, which means we are behind schedule for this event. And to any of our viewers, we apologize for the delay, and we are doing everything we can to get our good friend Chaz properly initiated on the program. So we'll give it a quick minute. If we can't get Chaz on, he could have driven here by now, Jesus. I mean, the details of the show look good. I added you, Robinson, that worked. Added Eric, that worked. I got back on the show, that worked. And the error must be on Chaz's side. I'm sure it's not his fault, but there's got to be something on his end that's causing an issue. Guests, manage guest list. Chaz Longwell, excellent. Chaz Longwell has viewed the invitation, good. I can remove him from the event, but I don't want to do that because that would make him sad. Yes, I do want to do that. Haha. Fuck you, Chaz. I removed you. Let's add him again, one more time. Here we go. This is great radio, guys. Great radio. All right. I just added him again, just like I've done 38 different times with no issue those other 38 times, especially with Chaz, because Chaz has always been the most consistent one out of all of us. It's time for a new iPhone for Chaz. He's rocking an iPhone 5 that apparently has exploded, and the only thing holding it together is his big old case. He's got like one of those hardcore cases. And
battery expansion?
Yeah, the battery expanded.
Oh,
Chaz joined the call. There he is.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. We just got finished blaming you, Chaz. All right, well, clearly Chaz is still working on getting on, and we'll give him a second. I'm gonna adjust some levels here. If I see Chaz disappear from the conversation, I'm gonna be really sad. Whoa, what are these sounds that I'm hearing? Did you guys hear that?
That's me.
You're doing something.
My phone is blowing up, and I'm trying to tell everyone to stop talking to me. I'll turn my sound up in a second here.
No, I heard it through my headphones, like a significant...
A bling?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was you?
It's just a frequency that's really loud, yeah. Let me turn my volume off.
So, I see Chaz. Can I turn his video on? Because that would be creepy, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be like, hey, Chaz. So he's not muted. Now he's on twice. Wow!
Oh, shit.
All right, I hold on. I'm injecting
Okay, so
you
you
from
can...
the other one. There we go. All right, now you're there. I can hear you. I can see you.
Perfect.
This is wonderful. The YouTube editing tools are going to come in handy because we've been live for the last like 10 minutes, and So I'll have to edit all that shit out. But that's
No, you
perfect.
have to
I'm
leave
glad
that
you're
in.
here. No,
That's the big picture
this
you
wasn't
wanted to
fun.
know.
This was stupid. All right, Chaz is on, Eric's on, Robinson's on, everybody's
Cue up
on.
the music.
I'm gonna cue up the bumper music, and we're gonna get this party started. All right, Eric.
Yes.
There is a button on your computer somewhere that looks like a microphone that will allow you to mute your audio. Can you find that for me real quick?
Let's see here. Yeah.
And because when we do the bumper music and we start the show, we always make sure that everybody is muted so that it doesn't conflict with what's going on. So Chaz is currently muted. Robinson is currently muted. Whenever you are now muted. Excellent. We're going to start the show, guys. Thank you all for being here. There's a person walking around in the background that looks like Ozzy. All right. Who's ready? I'm ready. Thumbs up means you're ready. Let's do it. Welcome to the Silver Happy Hour radio broadcast. I am your host. We are coming to you live on YouTube.com and streaming all around the world. I feel this way, but I don't know if it's true. I feel like my audio is very, very low for some reason. If that's not the case and I've just gone insane, that's perfectly all right. But as soon as I started, I know what the problem is. Guess what? I got bad news, guys. We're going to have to start that over again.
Okay.
Shit.
No.
So
That
good.
I know why.
Why?
There was one button that I forgot to hit, and I was wondering why I couldn't hear the echo of myself. All right, so that was a good dry run. All right, mute yourself. We're doing it again. Here we go. Welcome to the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast. I am your host. We are coming to you live on youtube.com, radiovalencia.fm, 87.9 on your radio dial if you happen to be in the San Francisco Bay Area, or possibly, maybe, via podcast on iTunes. I am here with my two good friends, as always, Mr. Chaz and Robinson. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello,
Gentlemen.
Thank you. That was awesome. You guys hit your cue like, bam, right, dead on. I love it. But we have a special guest. We will introduce him in just a moment. But I wanted to start the show on a little bit more of a somber note, if you will. Normally, this is a very happy, cheerful, positive, uplifting show, and we're going to keep it that way. But I do want to address something. I want to address something because we've talked about addiction. We've talked about recovery. We've talked about things that fit inside of that little box of sobriety and recovery that we talk about every week. And part of that box is faith and religion. We've talked about those things over and over and over again. And we've made mention of organized religion as something that can have good and bad at the same time. And I'm hearing an echo of myself, and it's kind of throwing me off.
So am I.
It's probably Robinson not having headphones on right now.
shit.
That's all right. So we've talked about religion often. We've talked about the good, the bad, and the ugly. And unfortunately, yesterday in Paris, France, our sister city, I just made that up, we got to see the really ugly side of religion. And there are millions, if not hundreds of millions, of good, honest, respectable Muslims in this world. And something that breaks my heart is when an event happens like happened yesterday, where a handful of complete fuckheads hijack a belief system and do heinous, awful things in the name of that religion, you get people that jump to this conclusion that all of said group are evil people. And that could not be further from the truth. So I just wanted to bring that up here quickly because we've definitely done our fair share of religion bashing on this show from certain perspectives. And I just want our Muslim listeners to know that we respect you. We know that these people that do these awful things are not you, and that they do not represent the whole of the Islamic faith. And because we consider this an international program, I just thought it important to bring that up, because what happened yesterday was tragic. What happened yesterday shouldn't have happened. What happened yesterday was disgusting. And we've talked about religious extremism and fundamentalism as something that could be viewed to some people as an addiction. Something that people can get so wrapped up in and so just blinded by anything and everything else that this is the most important thing in their life. They do religion first before anything else. And to me, that falls into the same category as somebody who every waking moment is wrapped around finding their next drink or their next drug. And these people who blew themselves up and shot innocent people trying to enjoy a shitty band in Paris are cowards, and they do not represent the greater whole. And they are not in heaven with 1,000 virgins. They are hopefully in the 6th circle of hell being raped by Adolf Hitler while having a train run on them by Joseph Stalin. That's all I can hope. So I'm off my soapbox now. I had to bring it up.
ISIS is like the Westboro Baptist Church of Christianity.
Only the Westboro Baptist Church doesn't murder people yet.
They're just obnoxious.
They're obnoxious, and God bless them. We have free speech in this country, and I don't take it for granted. But they don't murder people, and that's the difference. I agree.
They would if they could.
That's the truth. If they weren't huge, giant pussies, they probably would. If they were strong to their convictions. Hey, let's be real. There have been some hardcore Christian groups that have blown up buildings and murdered doctors for performing abortions and things like that. So they exist on all sides of the coin. But unfortunately, I was with somebody today, and I'm not going to name any names, but I was with someone today who thought it necessary to bring up the fact that, well, maybe if France didn't have such a large Muslim population, this wouldn't have been such a problem. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me, woman? You honestly believe that because France has a large Muslim population that terrorists who associate with the Islamic State walked into a nightclub and shot 100 people? Like, how ignorant are you? But I didn't say that because it's not my place to say that, and for other reasons that I won't get into. So you're listening to the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast, not the religious hour. I promise. That's it. We're done talking about it. But unless any one of you have anything to say, Chaz Robinson, if you have something to add, now's the chance, because I don't want to continue to talk about it. We have a wonderful guest who has joined us this evening, and we definitely want to jump in and get started with that conversation as quickly as we can. But as I must do every week in and week out, I must ask the two of you, How was your week?
Great.
And these are always the answers that I get. I get about 5 seconds of silence that I have to edit out
Well,
later.
The silence is both of us waiting for the other to respond. So
Yeah.
you should ask one of us at a time instead of both of us at the same time.
You're right. I am a
Okay.
terrible host.
My week was pretty productive. I finally managed to do one thing that I've been wanting to do for weeks, and that's get up and go to work without touching my phone.
All right.
That's my
Why?
addiction. My addiction is getting up and having conversations with people in Vietnam, and it fucks my day up. I end up getting it to work at like 11 or 12 o'clock instead of 8, and then I can't get anything done because it's just, it's half
You're
a day.
distracted.
I'm so distracted. So I have to just like ignore my phone. Once I actually get in the van and get to work, then I can chat while I'm working, no problem. Because it's not like constant streaming conversations, and most of them have gone to sleep by then because they're 15 hours ahead. But the few that are still up, I can chat with during my work hours. So, but only usually until about 11 or 12, and then I can.
But how did that go today or this week?
Yeah, this week, one day, I actually got to work at an early hour and put in a good work day, and so now I know what I need to do.
That's good. I'm glad. Thank you.
Yay! Thank you.
So, Chaz,
Yeah.
besides great, how was your week?
It was awesome.
Woo!
Yeah.
All right. I can dig that.
Yeah.
Just
about
my week.
that.
My week was interesting. It was busy and a little bit crazy. A lot of interesting things going on at my work right now. I've gotten to know somebody that I work with, sort of a partner, if you will, for the last year, and that person is going to be leaving, and I am going to get a new partner who is very green and brand new to the role, and so I know that'll be a lot of fun because I'm a firm believer in hazing, and so I've been given the opportunity to partner up with this person, kind of show them the ropes, and I'm gonna make his life a living hell for at least a couple of weeks. It's gonna be awesome. So that's my plan. But I will miss the individual that's leaving. He's leaving me. And I won't get to work with him every day, and I enjoy him thoroughly. And so that always is a little bit hard when people move on. But so a couple of quick programming notes. The YouTube page. We are now officially YouTube partners. And what that means is that for our viewers, I apologize in advance, you will be presented with some advertisements before you watch our videos from now on. But I want you to keep in mind that this show that we do every week for you is 100% free. So in order to keep the lights on, pay the bills, upgrade our equipment, things of that nature, I was thinking even potentially donating to charities and good causes and things like that. The advertisements that get played before the show may provide us some monetary gain that we would then be able to use to make a better program for you. So we are now YouTube partners. Our YouTube channel is official, youtube.com/c/Sober Happy Hour Radio Podcast. Yes, it is a long address. So save the link so you don't have to type it. Bookmark it. Subscribe to our page. Leave a comment. Subscribe to the podcast. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Do all of those things. And that'll make for a better happy hour. Yeah. Absolutely. So let's get this party started. We are graced with the presence of a man who I have had the honor of getting to know over the last year or so of my life. Believe it or not, it's been that long. And I learned about this individual's situation almost half a year ago now. And more than half a year ago. And I have been drawn to his story. I have been excited by his progress. I have been, hopefully, in some way, supportive of what he's been doing and going through. And because tonight is an important night for the Sober Happy Hour, I don't know if anybody knows this, but officially speaking, this is our anniversary show. We have officially been on the air for 1 full year.
That's
And
crazy.
And they have not kicked us off the air yet. We've not gotten a knock on the door by the FCC or by the Google police telling us that we are way out of line or anything along those lines. And we're so grateful for our listeners and our viewership and how great things have been going. And it's just going to get better from here. We wanted to have an awesome guest on the show for our anniversary episode. And so it is without further ado, I would like
we
to...
couldn't find anybody awesome, so we got Eric. Oh.
Well, for someone that has never met this gentleman before, that was a pretty dick thing to say. But this is welcome to the Sober Happy Hour, Eric. Say hello, Eric.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you very much for being here. We don't have a lot of guests on the show because we're pretty narcissistic and we mostly just like to hear ourselves speak. So when we have the opportunity to have a guest on the show, we jump on that opportunity. We've been teasing the listeners and the viewers for a while about having on a rock star. So I was hoping you might wear some gold chains or like have an electric guitar on the wall behind you or something so we could just make them feel like you're a rock star, but because like we're so indie, they just don't know who you are.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out that way. Eric is a friend of mine, and Eric, we're gonna try to ask you some questions. We're gonna put you on the spot, and you feel free to answer what you want to answer, and feel free to tell us to piss off if you don't want to answer. We more than anything, though, Eric, the reason we have you on the show, the reason I wanted you on the show was because I just wanted you to share with our viewers and listeners your story. I wanted to know what you were struggling with, when you realized it was a struggle, when you decided you were going to do something about it, and then all of the trials and tribulations that you've had to overcome in between. Because you were finding yourself struggling with alcohol. Is that correct?
Yes, definitely.
And how long had you been drinking for?
Man, I've been drinking since I was about 11 or 12.
All right. So about 10 years.
Yeah. I definitely wish it was that. Nah, I'm from South Carolina. Drinking is almost like a rite of passage. As soon as you're able to walk and you can sit down and speak, you might have a beer in your hand.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just one of those South Carolina things where the family gets together and it's family oriented. It's not like you're hanging around a bunch of people you don't know. This is all your family, your uncles, grandparents, great uncles, all those things. And we were nosy kids. Let me have a sip of that. Let me have a sip of this. So I grew up to the point where I didn't know what an alcoholic was, because everybody in my family drank.
Sure. And did everybody in your family, I guess not everybody, but were there members of your family that you saw growing up that, thinking back on it now or even at the time, that you said to yourself, man, you drink too much, Uncle whatever?
Mm-hmm. Looking back now that, I've been sober for as long as the short time that I have, There's a whole lot of people in my family that drink too much.
Sure.
And I'm not talking about one or two. I'm talking about more like 5, 10.
Okay. 5-10 people or 5-10 drinks?
5, 10 people
Oh, okay.
that drink too much.
Got it. That could be more like 20 or 30 drinks where I come from.
Yeah. Well, you know, I have an uncle that, and you know, I don't know if he still does this, but we used to ride around in the truck, and there used to be a cooler on the back of the truck, and it was there was a bottle of Paul Masson and probably a 30-pack of Budweiser.
There you go.
And we go deliver papers in the morning at 7 o'clock in the morning.
And by the end of the trip, it was gone.
Oh, we was good.
All right. So, growing up, alcohol being a big part of your family life, your social life, just life in general in South Carolina growing up, you know, there's a lot of people in that situation. I mean, you look at some of the European countries, right? You look at Portugal, you look at Spain, you look at Italy. These are fairly heavy drinking countries, but they don't seem to have, statistically speaking, they don't have the alcoholism problem that we have in this country. So, you know, again, I told you I was going to put you on the spot a little bit, and I don't expect you to have all the answers, but maybe just the thought that comes to mind is usually what I'm most interested in hearing. You know, knowing that this is something that's probably been going on in your family for generations, what was different about your experience that took it to that next level that you decided maybe there's a problem here?
It got to a point where me drinking had become more of a habit than anything. So, you know, I would find myself stopping by Circle K on the way home, not intending to stop by Circle K on the way home. But I had done it for so long that when I opened my eyes and realized I was in front of Circle K, the obvious thing to do was to get out the car and go in and buy alcohol.
Got it.
And I was drinking, and I mean, I've told you this a couple of times. You know, I had got to a point where I was drinking 3 or 4 32-ounce Miller High Lifes a night, and that was just a normal night. That wasn't me trying to get blitzed or anything. That was just normal.
The champagne of beers.
Champagne of beers, and I thought, you know, me drinking Miller High Life was better than me drinking the 40 ounces of Mickey's that I used to drink.
Or, you know,
yeah.
having 5, 6, 7, 8 cocktails.
Yeah. And so I stopped drinking malt liquor, thinking, hey, you know, malt liquor's not good for me. I can go to just regular beer, and you know, that wasn't. All I did was change one vice for another. I got off Mickey's and I went to Miller High Life. But you know, waking up in the morning, not sleeping through the night. Of course, personal issues with my girlfriend, and you know, forgetting to do this and forgetting to do that. Not feeling good, not being healthy, and it got to a point after in March, my family came out to visit, and I got wasted the whole time they were here. I mean, like, seriously wasted.
Were they drinking with you? I mean,
Yes.
if drinking was such a part of the family environment, when you mentioned March specifically when they came out here, they came out from South Carolina,
Yes.
and
I
they
had my mom-
were drinking with you.
Yeah, well, I had my mom from South Carolina. My mom doesn't drink like that. Like, she'll have a drink, but she doesn't drink like that. But my brothers, because you know I have a twin brother,
Mm-hmm.
And my younger brother, and their families, as far as their wives, and then my number of friends that I have here, they were all here to celebrate a birthday of a bunch of friends, and so that's what we were doing. We were drinking, and we were drinking the whole time. Me probably more so than anybody.
Now, you know, I knew you. I got to know you that probably during a period of time when you were on the verge of making the decision to get sober.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, you know, it was a situation probably not dissimilar from many, many people's situation, but just like when I decided to get sober, most of the people around me in my life had no idea that there was a problem. And I can say from my perspective, I was not aware of a problem with you.
Yeah.
So what was there a moment, was there an incident, was there a time that you made the decision where you knew there was a problem, or was it the culmination of a long time coming?
Well, partly it was a culmination of a long time coming, but I will tell you, we had a party on March 29th, and I'll be honest, I don't remember most of the night, but from what I understand, it wasn't such a good night for myself. We went out to the club, and I think, you know, when you've been drinking and then somebody says something to you that gets emotional, sometimes it's a lot more personal than it would have been if you were sober. Like, I think I would have took the information or that conversation that we were having a lot differently if I would have been sober having that conversation.
Sure.
Versus me not being sober having that conversation. And basically what happened is one of my friends told my twin brother that, you know, if I keep drinking, I'm going to die. And so, of course, my twin brother freaked out. I'm already drunk as a skunk. And he comes over, and, of course, he wants to give me the third degree about how much I've been drinking. And I think that set it off. Let's just say this. I woke up the next morning. I don't remember leaving the club. I don't remember the ride home. I just remember waking up the next morning, not realizing anything that happened and realizing that maybe I need to stop drinking.
So when that happened, because I talked to a lot of people about this, and I would say it's 50-50. 50% of the people say that there was a specific event where they said enough is enough, and the other 50% say, I have no idea, it was just, it got bad, it kept getting worse, and I had to do something about it. So in that situation, do you remember being defensive with your brother when he confronted you about it? Or maybe he shared it with you since you don't have a great recollection of the situation? Or do you think that you heard what they were saying and believed it and agreed with them and you knew that they were right?
From what I understand, you know, after Derek talked to me, yes, guys, his name is Derek. It's Eric and Derek.
Derek and Derek.
Yeah, Eric and Derek. I sat down on the chair and I started crying. I cried for most of the night. So
why do you think you did?
probably because I knew I had a problem.
Okay.
You know, and I knew I had a problem before we even had that party. And I had already voiced an opinion about maybe I should slow down or maybe not drink so much. And, you know, I think it just all came to a head with doing the party and having my family out and thinking I'm having a good time. And I realized, I mean, literally, like, I need to stop drinking, and I stopped drinking.
So something that I've shared often on this show, and I'll share it, I'm sure, 1,000 more times, is people who are normal drinkers, people who don't have a problem using drugs or drinking alcohol, they never have that in the mirror conversation with themselves when they say, maybe I have a problem, right? Problem drinkers, problem drug users, they never have that battle in their mind where they wonder, maybe I have a problem, or maybe I do this too much, or maybe I should stop doing this. Anyone who's had that conversation with themselves or with other people has a problem. At that point, it's just a matter of how severe the problem is. So, and feel free, Chaz and Robinson, chime in anytime you have anything that you want to ask or share or whatever.
Well, I'm not really getting what you mean by that as far as, you know, they not having a conversation with themselves about whether or not they have that problem.
What do you mean?
Well, in other words, it's like, you know, are you speaking for everyone who is, or are you saying that if they're not asking that question, then there is a problem?
No.
Or
what I'm
when
saying
they say
is,
it.
I'll give you an example.
Okay.
So, if I eat McDonald's Egg McMuffins, for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner 6 or 7 days a week. And I've put on 100 pounds, and I feel like shit. And I am not doing well health-wise. And I have that moment where I pull up to the drive-thru and I say, "Give me the 2 for $3.33 Egg McMuffin special, please, and throw in a hash brown and a Diet Coke because I'm watching my figure." And I grab that bag from the window and I see myself in the rearview mirror, and which now takes up the whole mirror. And I have a thought that says, "Man, maybe I eat McDonald's too much." More than likely, because you stopped to have that moment, you eat McDonald's too much. And for a drug addict or an alcoholic, almost every single one of them has that moment. And it usually...
never know.
What's
The answer is never, no, you don't have a problem.
Right. But, well,
The answer is always
the truth.
yes. You have a problem.
The truth
If
is...
it wasn't a problem, you wouldn't be asking in the first place.
Exactly. And that's what I'm trying to say, is most addicts or alcoholics who are at a point where they know that there's a problem and they're asking themselves that question, most people, contrary to Eric's story, they don't have the wherewithal, the willpower, the strength, the support that they need to answer that question honestly to themselves and not follow it up with an excuse to continue doing it. Because I know for myself that I had that conversation with myself 1,000 times. "Hey, I really think you probably drink too much." And I would say, "Yeah, I probably do, but I'm sure as hell not going to stop drinking." Because why? Because fuck that. That's why. And there's no rational explanation, but every addict or alcoholic will have that conversation with themselves at some point or another. And I meet people all the time, and for some reason it tends to happen mostly to like college-age girls, where they'll ask themselves or a friend, be like, "Do you think, like, Becky, do you think I, like, drink too much? Like, am I a drunk?" And Becky will say, "Well, I don't know, Lisa. Like, you definitely drink a lot." But the truth is that Lisa knows that she's an alcoholic. And the only reason that question was asked was because she knows in her heart, in her mind, in her soul, that there's a problem. Because normal drinkers never have that conversation with themselves. Does that make sense?
Okay, see, I thought you said that problem drinkers never have that conversation with themselves.
Well, and we had that conversation before too, Chaz. Is there a difference between a problem drinker and an alcoholic? And there are studies that say that those are two different things, and there are people that think that those are the same thing, and that one basically leads to the other, that a problem drinker will eventually be an alcoholic if they continue to drink. And I'll be honest, if I had to truly label what I was doing, or potentially even what Eric was doing, I would probably have labeled it as problem drinking as opposed to full-blown alcoholism. And I think the distinction comes in to whether or not you suffer withdrawal symptoms during the detoxing part of the program. Now, that, again, I can only speak for myself. I can only give you my own opinion of things. But a problem is a problem. And whether or not it's a severe problem that will end your life. I mean, Eric told the story about his friend saying, if he continues drinking, he's going to die. Right?
Yeah,
and that was the same thing that I was hearing.
That is family support. And you trust your family more than anything. If your friends are telling you that you're fucking up, then that's kind of family support too. But I've lived in Germany where beer is cheaper than water. And even everybody drinks. When you're a baby and your main consumption of food is mom's tit. When you get off the tit, you get on beer. They take, and this is not a joke, they actually take beer, they put raspberry syrup in it, and they put it in a bottle, and they give it to babies to wean them off of mother's
milk. Wow.
Yes. So there is alcohol consumption from birth, basically, in Germany. It's very normal for everyone to drink beer. Not alcohol consumption, but beer consumption.
Okay.
And 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 it's not uncommon to walk into a bar and see high school kids doing their homework at the bar, drinking a beer.
Huh.
That's just normal everyday life.
Yep.
Now, if somebody in Germany is becoming a belligerent alcohol and their life is getting fucked up, they have friends and family that care about them, that will set them straight, and they listen because they respect those people. So alcoholism is not, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, it definitely exists, but it's a whole different animal in Europe. Same thing in France.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody drinks wine with every meal at all ages. You
Yeah.
know, so it's like it's just there. That's their beverage. But
And-
it's all it's all about the family support, really.
Well, and I think a lot of it has to do with how our society treats alcohol consumption, right? In America, we treat alcohol consumption as party time. We treat it as escapism. We treat it as you cannot touch alcohol until you're 21 years old, and so at that point we mystify it, right? We turn it into this exciting thing that when you're old enough that your parents aren't looking over your shoulder, you're going to try to drink, and because you haven't been around it and it's been stigmatized a little and this very mysterious thing, well, I'm going to drink to get drunk. And in European countries, they don't drink to get drunk. It is rare that you will go somewhere where alcohol is being served in a European country and see somebody who is sloshed, because that's just, in their culture, that would be completely unacceptable. But in our culture, if you go out to the club or to the bar and you're not surrounded by sloshed, fucked up idiots, then you're not having a good time.
And you know who does shots? Americans. You go to another country and you see people doing shots at a bar. They're Americans.
Yep.
Because
And they're being laughed at.
Yeah. You go to Mexico. Go to Mexico and you watch people drinking in Mexico. It's the Mexicans getting the Americans drunk. That's what it is.
Well, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because a quick tangent. I grew up in Southern California, a stone's throw from Tijuana, Mexico. You just walk over the border, 18 years old, and you can go to a bar in TJ and get drunk for a few dollars. And the drink of choice down there, the liquor of choice down there is tequila. And so I grew up with an entire generation of kids who made the mistake of going down to Tijuana when they were 18 years old, getting shit-faced on tequila, to then when they were of drinking age, they couldn't touch tequila without getting really sick, and it was all psychosomatic because they remember being 18 years old and having the Mexican señorita literally tilting the bottle down their throat when they and getting so drunk that they puked all over themselves, and so they have to stay away from tequila forever. When
Right, the
I'll be
smell
honest,
of it.
yeah, the smell of
Yeah.
it. But tequila is a delicious spirit. I mean, if anybody listening is a drinker, they probably can attest to that. Tequila is a lovely drink, but that's another topic. So
I
Eric,
experienced that as well. That I can't smell tequila without getting nauseous. But
Same.
somebody handed me a drink once, and it was Hornitos tequila, and mixed with water. So it was, half and half with ice in it, and I sipped it, and it tasted delicious. It didn't taste like that hard, astringent shit that was always going down my throat.
Yep.
It was actually a nice, pleasant flavor because I could actually taste it instead of. To me, it's like, okay, let's go to the soda fountain at McDonald's or 7-Eleven or whatever, and plug our finger over the water part and just get the syrup, and we'll just drink that. That's disgusting. It's like, yeah, it's hardcore, it's nasty, it's raunchy, it's not
It'll
pleasant,
get you
you know?
drunk. So, Eric,
Yeah.
you you had a run-in with some family. Your brother brings this concern to your attention. You wake up the next morning from essentially what you've described as, almost a blackout drunk situation
Hmm.
because you don't remember. And you make the decision right then and there that you were done drinking? Or how did that look? What did that conversation with yourself look like?
Well, the conversation, the next day, because at this point, I'm still probably half drunk from the night before.
Amen.
And to be honest, I kept drinking for the next like 2 days because it was right before April because I stopped drinking on March 31st. So it was probably March 30th, March 31st. And that day I was literally by myself because my family had all left. And I sat here at the house with a couple of beers, and I said, "This is going to be my last beers, and I'm stopping."
Okay.
And I finished that beer. I woke up April 1st, and I haven't had a drink since.
And when the decision was made, did you, because, and I already know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Did you make the decision to quit drinking, period?
No.
Or was it a chance to dry out?
It was a chance to dry out. Like my saying was when I talked to you, it was like, hey, I'm not saying I'm never drinking again, but for right now, drinking is not for me. And now it's almost 8 months later, drinking is still not for me. But it's still one day at a time. So I don't tell anybody I'm never gonna drink again, because I'd be lying. So I just take it one day at a time. But in the beginning, it was literally probably going to be 3 or 4 months that I wasn't going to drink. But
That's good. That's what takes the pressure off of you.
yeah,
Not making that serious of a commitment for the rest of your life. You can make a commitment for today, no problem. You can always get through today. You can remake that commitment tomorrow, but just trying to say I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life or ever again or whatever.
Well, and it's funny because that's so true, right? And when you get into the Alcoholics Anonymous program or pretty much any one of the recovery programs that are out there, they'll tell you over and over and over again, take it one day at a time, sometimes 1 hour at a time, sometimes 1 minute at a time. Because as soon as you start making promises to yourself that are long-term, you start feeling that pressure. You start feeling that I can't do this. But pretty much anybody can do the next hour. I'm not going to drink for the next hour. And then, boom, it's midnight. You know what? I'm not going to drink for the next hour. And then I go to bed. So I wake up and it's 8 hours later, and you tell yourself, you know what? I'm not going to drink today. And then it gets to the evening, you say, good, I didn't drink today, I'm not going to drink tonight. And what galls me about so many of the friends and family members of alcoholics and drug addicts is that concept is foreign to them. They look at it and they say, so what? So you're done drinking then, right? Like you're not going to drink anymore. You're sober. That's it. You're done. And somebody that's got a good sponsor or is, solid with their idea of recovery shouldn't make that promise. And I'm going to tell you honestly, I nearly got divorced over my inability, my unwillingness to make that promise to my wife. When I first got sober, I was just constantly berated with the question of long-term, forever sobriety. And my answer could only be, hey, I'm working a good program. I'm sober right now. I have no plans to start drinking or using again in the future, but I can't promise you that I'm never going to drink again. I can't promise you that I'm not going to relapse. I can't make you that promise because I can't see the future. But I will promise you this. If the drink time comes, I hopefully will have the support system that I need to keep me from making that decision. And if I don't, and if I start again, I am aware of the way back. And it was not good enough. That was not a good enough answer for a long time. And that can be so stressful and so dangerous and damaging to somebody who's made the decision to get sober. And that's why when we talked about it, Eric, I'm pretty sure I was 100% supportive of the fact that you weren't making a long-term commitment to this, that you were basically going to see how it went. You know, and I tried to give you some suggestions and some pointers and told you, and I tell people this all the time, hey, straight up, if you don't want to drink again, you don't have to. But that's only a decision for you to make.
Yeah.
So you made the decision to get sober. It was a short-term decision, basically, saying, you know what, I'm going to dry out. I'm not going to drink. The drinking is screwing up my life. I'm making bad decisions. I need to cut this shit out. And you did. And you made a short-term commitment, and you kept reaching these goals, these milestones. I'm curious, and I would love to hear a little bit about some of the support that you had and seeked out. What did that look like? Was this Eric by himself? Was this Eric with the support of somebody else or some buddies else? Were you just making it up as you went along? What did this process look like for you?
I had a good friend at work by the name of Dan that suggested that I call a hotline that we have access to called Concerned Services. And you call, tell them what your issue is, and it could be any issue. And then they recommend a counselor or doctor or whatever that looks like. They recommended a counselor for me, and got her name. Didn't give her a call at first because I was like, I can do this by myself. I'm not weak. I don't need any help. This is Eric. I'm gonna do it by myself. But I talked it over with my girlfriend, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna at least go and talk to her. You know what I'm saying? If I don't like it, I never have to go back. You know what I'm saying? It's not like nobody's forcing me to go talk to this lady. So I made my first appointment, sat down with her, told her my story. She listened, asked a couple questions, lasted about an hour, and I left there feeling like, I had got some stuff off my chest in a sense that I hadn't able to tell my girlfriend or my brother or my best friend because I was just talking, to somebody who wasn't objectifying me in any way, you know what I'm saying? As far as she was concerned, I was just talking, and it felt good just to talk I wasn't expecting her to say anything. I wasn't expecting her to say, well, you shouldn't have did this or you shouldn't have did that, versus having a conversation with my girlfriend or my best friend or my brother, and they're like, well maybe you need to do this or maybe you need to do that. And after I got done with that first conversation, I realized that it would probably help me out a lot to see her again. And so through Concerned Services, they gave me 10 free sessions. And I did all 10. I went and saw her all 10, and I can still go back if I need to, but I spread them out. At first, it was once every week. Every Monday at 10 a.m., I'd go see her. And then I spread it out a little bit more till it was once every 2 weeks, and then I got to a point where the last time I saw her was a month in between. And every day I walked in with the same question. So, Eric, so you still sober? And it was the same answer. Yes, I am.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so with her help, especially my girlfriend, and of course my twin brother would call me every week asking me, am I eating well? Am I taking my vitamins? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? Was good. He was almost irritating to the point that I was like, hey, bro, I'm good. I'll call you if I need help. Stop calling me and asking me if I eating well. Because you call me more now that I stopped drinking than you did when I was drinking. So I I don't know what that was, you know what I'm saying? But I love him to death. I'm glad he did. But yeah, he called me more after I stopped drinking than he did when I was drinking. So it was crazy.
Well, and what's interesting though is that to me proves that he cares, right? And he knew how bad the situation had gotten, right? And he
Yeah.
might have even known better than you knew how bad the situation had gotten. And for him to keep checking up on you like that, I love that you said it almost got to the point of being obnoxious,
Yeah.
because sometimes you need that. And I guess, did you ever feel the need, be recommended or pointed toward any of the well-known recovery programs like AA or anything like that?
Well, in the conversations I had or her name is Miss Bogash, Dr. Bogash, and talking and discussing and things like that, she actually didn't think that was something that I needed, because she was more on the lines that she was like, Eric, she actually said she didn't think I was an alcoholic. She thought that when I drank in excess, when I did drink. Which I didn't know how to say the difference between that, or I was like, I drink too much because I drink every day.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I drink 7 days a week, 30 days a month. You know what I'm saying? 12 months a year. That was what my philosophy of being an alcoholic was, drinking like that. But she said that, like you had said earlier about going through withdrawal symptoms and things like that, that was like almost like a true sign of an alcoholic. I didn't go through the withdrawal symptoms or anything like that. A lot of friends had told my girlfriend that I was going to become a jackass because I had stopped drinking, and how was she going to deal with me without drinking? I was supposed to be an asshole. I was supposed to gain 100 pounds because I had stopped drinking and I wasn't doing something else. None of the above happened.
Yeah.
I didn't become an asshole no more than I am already. You know what I mean? And I didn't gain a bunch of weight. I actually lost some, but I think I gained it back in the last month or two. But it was just, I didn't think I needed to go to AA. I didn't think I needed to go. And I think Miss Bogash telling me that she didn't think I needed to go is probably what said, Eric, you don't need to go to AA. But she didn't recommend it. But I had plenty of friends that say, hey, I know a great place if you want to go and just sit down and listen, and you ain't got to participate. You can just go and listen. And that was from a good friend that works for the same company that we work for, that offered that, because he had used it and still does from time to time whenever he sees himself off the path that he's currently on. But I never did. You know what I'm saying? Kind of strong-willed, kind of proud person I am. I was like, I can do this. I did reach out for help to Miss Bogash, but after that, I was like, I can do this. I can kick this.
So I find that really admirable and interesting too, because the fact that this person that you went and talked to, this psychologist, shared with you that she didn't think that AA was something that you needed to necessarily look into. There are a lot of people, the legal system included, that believe the only way to help an alcoholic is to send them to AA. And I wholeheartedly disagree with that sentiment. I just think that there is not a one-size-fits-all approach to this. And, if you get to a point where you don't have a good support system, or you're kind of struggling with this on a daily basis, right? Like drinking, you just can't shake it. And I think one of the most beneficial parts of a program like AA isn't the material so much as it is the community, right? It's the fellowship, having other alcoholics that have been through the process in your back pocket to talk to if you're having a rough go at it. You are one of the fortunate ones. Go ahead, Robinson.
One of the things that's really common in the U.S. as well as I think the UK, I'm not sure, but when we turn 18, we're out the door. We go to college. We don't live at home anymore. We are basically out on our own, disconnected from our family, and making our own lives and being our own people. Every other country in the world, whether you go to college or not, you stay with your family until it's time to get married, until you find someone to start your own family with. And family is so much more a part of everyone's life everywhere in the world except for the U.S. And drinking is a peer pressure thing with colleagues and associates, but they're not family. They're people that you are competing with for the next step up the job ladder, or competing with over that hot chick that you both want to go bang, or competing over who can do the most drinking. And we become a very competitive society without, just trying to move up in the world. We don't have a family that cares for us, that we see every day. And I think that's why AA is successful for a lot of us, because we're being thrown into a family, and
Right.
we don't want to be there. We don't want that to be our family. Who the fuck wants to have a bunch of fuck ups and drunks and alcoholics and drug addicts for family?
Some
Nobody.
of us do without choice.
We don't need it. We don't want it, but it's exactly what we need, because we
Right.
need people that we can associate with.
Well, and you hear that all the time in those environments. Yeah, nobody wants to join AA, right? Nobody chooses that path. And it drives me crazy when I talk to people that want to take an alcoholic and say, well, you are this because of the choices that you made, right? I had a very, let's call it, passionate conversation with my mother-in-law one time about the fact that my alcoholism was the result of me choosing this. And I just kind of laughed in her face, and I said, who on God's green earth would choose to be an alcoholic, right? Just like the same goes for somebody who's a homosexual, right? Not that there's anything wrong with homosexuality, but the reality of it is, if you're a 12-year-old boy that realizes that he's gay, and that makes you different from other people, why would you choose that? You know? This is who I am. This is part of me. And I'm not making a choice to be an alcoholic, right? Just the same distance as a gay person didn't choose to be gay, right? Just like a man didn't choose to be a man, right? It's the same shit. So the AA conversation, though, I love this was one of the main reasons that I wanted you on the show, Eric, was because you can be a symbol of sobriety without the 12-step program, right? And we've talked about it a lot on this show, that I've gotten emails from people thanking us that we aren't these AA 12-step hawks, that's not all we talk about on the show. We've talked about it, absolutely. Is AA part of the reason that I got sober and took my life back? Absolutely. Does that mean that it has to be that way for everybody else? No. Just like a lot of the public thinks, if you're a drug addict or an alcoholic, you have to go to rehab, right? Or if you're an alcoholic, you have to completely abstain from using alcohol. That's not even true for everybody. There are alcoholics who get off of that wagon and can live a totally fine and successful, happy, non-alcoholic life while still partaking in a drink every now and then, right? So I made the choice to go to AA. I make the choice to abstain completely from alcohol, but that does not mean that that is the only way. And I am respectful of those decisions, and I support those decisions as long as I feel like those decisions are being made for the right reason. But if you're if you're my kind of alcoholic, where if I started drinking again, I would start hiding it, I would start overdoing it, I would start making excuses. I did that once. I remember vividly going back to Southern California for a trip when I had been sober for a while, and I remember telling my mom, who saw me nursing a beer, asking me, "Hey, so I thought you weren't drinking anymore." And I said, "Oh no, I'm good. I can have a beer every once in a while. That's cool, right?" Okay, well, I'll be honest, this makes me a little uncomfortable, all things considered. I said, "No, man, you're overreacting, right? You're being unreasonable, Ma." When the reality was, yeah, I was nursing that beer while everybody was awake, and as soon as everybody went to bed, I had that handle of rum in the back of my car that I was going to pull out and get wasted with. So that's one of the main things that I love about your story, Eric, is the fact that you chose the path that was right for you. You didn't do it alone. You had professional help. I think it is absolutely incredible and unfortunately unheard of in this country, especially, that you have an employer who offers free, anonymous, non-judgmental services that you can take advantage of to get help when you found yourself in that situation, because most other jobs would have just been like, "You're on your own. Oh, wait, what? You're an alcoholic? You're fired." I think that's pretty awesome, and that deserves some high fucking praise from those that want to say that there's no such thing as a decent corporation these days.
Well, and I'm happy to share my story with everybody, but I've told people at work, "Hey, man, if you're having a problem, I got the number in my phone book." You know what I mean? Yep. I still have that number. I didn't erase it when I was done. It's still in there, and it's there for me, and it's there for anybody who may need it. So if they ask me, I don't have to go to the computer and look for this number again. It's in my phone book.
Yeah. You know what's really interesting, too? Hold on, Chaz. One quick thing, and then it's your turn. The person that you said encouraged you to reach out to the counselor, you are now the second guest on this program who struggled with an addiction, who was encouraged by that same person to get help. Can you believe that?
Knowing him, yeah, I can see that.
We had our friend Mario on the program a number of months ago, and he mentioned that a manager at work came to him concerned, and it was the same person. And I think that's pretty damn cool.
Mm-hmm. What's cool is me and Mario, we actually went and saw the same counselor.
Wow. There you go.
Yeah, he had a different experience than I had. So like you said, it's a different path for everyone.
Amen.
So my conversations with her were different than the conversations, of course, that Mario had. He didn't care for her in a sense like I did. I thought she was cool. She was a funny lady, and we got along great. And of course, I went all 10 times. But yeah, it's just funny how small this world really is.
Well, and it's very possible that this counselor was saying things that he didn't want to hear, and you were willing to hear things that you maybe didn't want to hear. And, that everybody's path is different. Chaz, you had something to say before I rudely interrupted you. I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. The EAP is what they call it, Employee Assistance Programs, and a lot of more forward-thinking companies are doing it these days. And the whole reason behind it is that they recognize the talent and everything else that they have in-house. And if you can hold on to that talent and that, the skills and everything else you have working on you, you're going to invest in that. And if your employees are having those problems, then by all means, if having that is going to keep them employed, you want that. So it's becoming more and more common. In fact, my employer as well, that I've mentioned several times, we also have that same thing.
It's self-serving. Let's be real. The reason, a company will offer health insurance is because it's more likely your employees will come to work. They're healthy. right? They offer these employee assistance programs because they don't want you to get strung out on drugs and then lose your job, right? They
Mm-hmm.
offer paid vacation because they know they don't want you to get burnt out and then leave your job, right? You know, we work thankfully for a company who has incredible employee benefits. And when I say benefits, I'm not just talking about healthcare. I'm
Yeah.
talking about all kinds of benefits. Everything from we'll pay your monthly bus fare if you take public transportation. We'll reimburse you for your gym membership because we want you to be healthy. We will bring a nurse to your location on a yearly basis to administer a flu shot to you and your team should you choose to get one on our dime to keep you healthy. I mean, it is pretty incredible the benefits that we receive
Mhm.
as employees of this company. And we don't take them for granted. Most of us, at least. Some of the younger kids take them for granted. And then if they leave and go find a job somewhere else, they'll have a very rude awakening to the realities of the world. But it's pretty incredible what we are offered on a daily basis.
Definitely. I've taken advantage of plenty of those programs.
Yeah, that's what they're there for.
Yeah, that's what they're there for. I mean, I have a new bicycle because the company reimbursed me for the purchase of a bicycle so that I can ride
Yes.
a bike. Tuition reimbursement. We know school ain't cheap, so that's definitely a plus right there. And so, yeah, I did a fundraiser a couple of weeks ago for mitochondrial disease, and they let me know that I needed to put in the time because Apple would match every hour that I spent at the fundraiser to do that.
And matching, charity donation matching.
Yeah.
I donated to the Children's Hospital, and I knew that they'd match it 100% up to a certain amount of money. That if I donated $1,000, my donation would show up to the Children's Hospital for $2,000 because it was matched by the company. So
Yes.
it's pretty damn cool, and I love that you took advantage of that program because there are probably people listening, watching right now who work for companies that offer assistance programs like that, but maybe they're scared. Maybe they don't believe that it's truly anonymous and that you won't get disciplined, reprimanded, fired over taking advantage of this. But let's be real. Chaz, you can speak to this better than anyone. This counselor, even though technically she's being paid by the company that Eric works for, she cannot turn around and call Eric's manager and say, "Hey, manager, so Eric has a drinking problem and he called me yesterday to talk about it." That's illegal.
Yeah, not without Eric being able to sue that company for quite a bit.
So there you go.
Yeah.
So, this is the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast. We are coming to you live on YouTube.com. For anybody that's interested, we do have our YouTube page is something that we are now taking a little more seriously. For a while, it was just a means to getting the show recorded. Now, it is something that we're taking a little bit more seriously. We're trying to get people to the page, get them to hit that subscribe button. Should be right over there somewhere. Maybe over there. I don't know. But
Down here.
oh, it's down there?
Yeah.
That's my penis.
No,
Down.
off to the side. Just to the
They
right of
can
your
push
penis.
that button if they want to. Just give me a call. They subscribe to the YouTube, subscribe to the podcast, leave a rating, leave a review, tell your friends. We do have a very ridiculously long YouTube custom URL now. It is youtube.com/C, the letter C, /Sober Happy Hour Radio Podcast. That's the one they gave us. It used to be youtube.com/JX2LV3_LMNOP whatever. That's impossible. This one's at least somewhat memorable. youtube.com/C/ the entire name of our show is how you can get to the YouTube. Easier though, go to facebook.com/soberhappyhour. Shoot us an email, soberhappyhour@gmail.com. Hop on iTunes, subscribe to the podcast, and I could not be any more grateful for the number of people that are listening to this show on a regular basis. Thank you so much for taking the time and for sharing it with other people. We know that most, if not all, of the subscribers that we have been due to word of mouth, because we don't advertise this show. We don't push this show and spend money to get it out there. This is all through people telling people, and we are humbled and we are so thankful that people are enjoying what they're listening to. We're going to hop quickly into the next hour. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to play you a song. I have plans over the next couple of weeks to get all of the Arbor Circle songs posted to the Sober Happy Hour radio podcast YouTube page. I'm going to put them up on the YouTube as an audio track so you can listen. I'm going to create a playlist for all the audio tracks, and I will do my best to put the name of the track in the episode show notes so that you can see which song you heard. Robinson mentioned that a lot of people ask, what was that song? Where can I hear it? And we're going to try to make that a little bit easier for you. Again, you may start seeing some advertisements pop up when you watch the show. That's just a way for us to try to support the show. This isn't about us making money for ourselves and supplementing our income. It'll probably not get to that point anyway. Hey, if it did, shit, I'll take it. But more than anything, just to keep the lights on, to keep the website up and running, to keep this show going. So
the radio dues for Radio Valencia.
Yeah, right. Radio
That's
Valencia.
one of our biggest expenses.
Radio Valencia. Let's just put it this way: it costs $5 a show to air on Radio Valencia, and without a sponsor, without an endorsement, without an ad deal, that money has to come from somewhere, and that money currently comes from us. So typically, that's money that would come from a sponsor, but currently we're still working on that. So at the very least, the YouTube could generate some funds that might help pay for that expense, because it is an independent the radio station is owned by the DJs and the hosts of the shows that are on the station. And to keep it independent, to keep it real, keep it 100, we don't have advertisers and sponsors on Radio Valencia. So this is a means to try and solve that problem for us as well. $5 a show. We will have a donation button, preferably more than likely through Patreon, that people can subscribe on a weekly, a monthly, a yearly basis and donate whatever you'd like, whatever's comfortable for you. If the show is worth $1 a show, donate $1 a show, $1 a week. If the show is only worth a nickel to you, great. Donate a nickel a week. Every little bit helps. And anything that is extra and left over after the expenses are paid, we will find something very worthwhile to do with that money. Anyway, that's another conversation. We're going to play a little song for you. We're going to take a quick break, let everybody stretch their legs, get a little sip of their beverage of choice.
What's the name of the song?
The name of the song is What Are You Waiting For? And I thought that this song was relevant because this song is about the never-ending fucking wars that we have been involved in this country for the last 15 years. And the song is about ending these goddamn wars. And I wrote it when both of our awesome wars were going full swing. And I had a good friend who had been deployed for the 6th time to Iraq. And I was just frustrated. So that's what this song is about. It's called What Are You Waiting For? It is on an unreleased record that we never released. And we'll play it for you now. We'll take a break. And we'll come back with the last half of the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast with our friend Eric, who hopefully you'll stick around, Eric?
Yeah, more likely.
All right. Cool. Well, we're grateful for whatever time you can give us. And if you got to bounce, you just let us know and we'll let you go. But we really do appreciate you here. So this is the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast. We'll be back after this short musical interlude. And any day now. Here it goes. 1, 2, 3. It should be playing. What the hell's going on? Oh, you know what? I don't have a clue what it's doing. Sorry. All right. We'll vamp for a moment. We were having serious technical difficulties at the beginning of the show, so I am not surprised that we continue to have some technical difficulties here. But we'll get this figured out. 1 second here. Nobody leave. Don't go anywhere. I promise. I will have the song ready to go. Just a moment. And it's coming. And it's almost there. And we're getting close. And 100%. Here we go. What are you waiting for? Enjoy.
Truth. Swallow hard and spit it out. Fear that the truth is getting loud. When I do what I've been told, and I give my heart and soul, leave. I hope to see you all again. Sleep. Shoot the stars and scorpions. And I know what we've been told, but the truth came out. What are you waiting for? Please forgive me when I say, what are you waiting for? Some have fallen, others broken. No one sees this, no one cares. What are you waiting for?
Welcome back to the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast. I am still your host. We are still here with Chaz, with Robinson, and our good friend Eric, joining us all the way from wherever the hell he's joining us from. And Eric has been kind enough to stick with us for a little while longer. We know it's late. We know you probably have shit to do on a Saturday night. And we appreciate you being here very much, Mr. Eric. I've muted everyone simply to prevent any contamination to our lovely audio track that we played. But talk to us on Facebook, facebook.com/soberhappyhour. Send us an email, soberhappyhour@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @soberhappyhour. And subscribe to the YouTube page, subscribe to the podcast, leave a comment, leave a message, leave us something. Even if that comment on YouTube is just the quintessential calling us fags, because we don't mind that anyway. We know we get a lot of that, and that's okay, because that's the internet for you. What are you gonna do? Mm-hmm. So we got to the point in the story, Eric, where you decided you were gonna get sober. You went to a counselor. You had support from your girlfriend, your brother, who was obnoxiously calling you every week, and I guess to kind of wrap up the story, if you will, where are you at now? Where are things currently with the decision that you made to stop drinking?
Currently, right now, I'm still on the same path. I don't have a desire to drink. I don't have a set time like, hey, I might drink again now. I mean, I got a couple things coming up that are going to be some pretty significant milestones in my life. I'm graduating from ASU in May.
Nice.
So I will tell you that not drinking and going to school, because it works. I'm a lot more focused than I was when I was drinking. The homework gets done a lot faster, and probably with a lot better grades than it was when I was drinking.
Right.
But yeah, I've said, hey, maybe I have a drink on my birthday, or maybe I have a drink when I graduate. But to be honest with you, I don't know if that'll even happen then. As of right now, I can't see that far in the future. I can't say whether I'm a drink or not. It's not like I'm waiting. Oh, wait till my birthday. I'm gonna have a drink. It's not even about that. I've actually been mulling over in my head what I want to do for my birthday that doesn't involve drinking. And so yeah, just it's one day at a time, man. Still.
So there's a book, and it is actually called A Day at a Time. And that book has basically a page for every day of the year. And today's November 14th, and it has a reflection for the day, a prayer for the day, and an I will remember for today on every page for every day of a year. And this is today's reflection. It says November 14th, reflection for the day. First, search for a little humility. My sponsor urged me. If you don't, he said, you're greatly increasing the risk of going back out there again. If, after a while, in spite of my lifelong rebelliousness, I took his advice, I began to try to practice humility, simply because I believed it was the right thing to do. Hopefully, the day will come when most of my rebelliousness will be but a memory, and then I'll practice humility because I deeply want it as a way of life. Can I try today to leave myself behind and to seek the humility of self-forgetfulness? I say yes. And I say that what I feel from you, Mr. Eric, is a lot of humility around this situation that you've been dealing with for the last 8 months. you haven't had to beat yourself down over it. And there's a lot to be said for that, because there are some people that believe that you have to hit rock bottom in order to clean your life up. And I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think when you hit rock bottom, it makes it even harder to get sober, because you got nothing to live for at that point. So what's the point, right? I get sober, my life is shit. I stay drunk, my life is shit. So I'd rather be drunk and have a shit life than get sober and have a shit life and not have the drinking to make it feel a little bit better. So I think taking things one day at a time is not just a cliche that they use in the recovery world. I think it's honestly something that I've been having to reflect on in my career ambitions recently. You know, I had some goals set for myself, and they were long-term goals, and they've come and gone, and I was frustrated and disappointed and angry for a while over it, until I had to just stop and remind myself that, you know what? Am I happy today? Yes. Am I grateful today? Absolutely. You know, I have 2 healthy kids and a wonderful wife and a home and a job and income and my health and everything, and my sobriety and everything else that goes along with leading a happy, fruitful life. You know, I think it was a lack of humility and maybe even a little bit of greed or envy that had me feeling badly about my situation. And when I stopped, remembered that it's not just my sobriety that I take one day at a time, but my life that I can take one day at a time, it helps. It really does. It works. So
I think that might be one of the reasons why I never became an alcoholic. Because when I left my home at 14 and hit the world and just started traveling and doing things, I never had any expectations, and I just lived every day. It wasn't even one day at a time. It was mostly 1 hour at a time. I didn't think about where I was going to get money for food until I got hungry. I approached every situation as it came, and I spent my entire life like that until I was maybe 30 years old. I just lived for the day, for the moment, not thinking about the future. Of course, the bad part of that is I never had, the ability to save money. What's the point in saving money? All I have is right now.
sure.
And that's all I ever thought about was right now. I had the memory of my past and the prospect of the future, but none of that exists. The only thing that exists is this moment. And in fact, the words that I just spoke, they don't exist anymore either, because they're now in the past.
And if you really want to get, really philosophical about it, or you can talk about the infinite number of options that exist that take you down the path that you're on, right? The decision that you just made will affect the future and the trajectory of your life forever. So even for somebody who chooses to get sober, will lead them down a completely different path than had they chosen not to get sober, a week earlier. So it really is foolish to think too much about what comes next and what the future holds. But when it comes to something like saving money, I think the reason that becomes important, no matter what, is simply because there will come a point in your life where you're unable to make the money that you might need to survive. So having that nest egg becomes important. Robinson's going to live forever, so that doesn't really count for him.
But I'm not going to be poor forever.
Well, I hope not. Are you poor now? I think you're a
poor.
very wealthy man.
Why
I
do you
envy your freedom.
I'm wealthy, but in every way, but financially.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so Eric,
Yeah.
if someone were listening to you right now and has been listening for the last 90 minutes to your story and what you've accomplished, what you've been through, what you chose to do, and where it's taken you, what could you, what would you, if you had to step aside from yourself for a moment and somebody came to you in need and said, hey man, I saw you on that fucking YouTube show and I feel like a connection with you. I feel like I'm in the same place. You know, I drink too much. I know I drink too much, and I really want to stop drinking. What should I do?
Well, you got to have that conversation with yourself, because nobody can stop you from drinking but yourself. And I know this for a fact. You know what I'm saying? I didn't stop till I wanted to stop. Now, when I stopped, but it was a decision I made for myself. Because I had heard before, from my mom, like, hey, Eric, you might be drinking too much, and like you said, hey, I'm good, I'm fine. It wasn't until I said, hey, I'm gonna stop drinking. This is for me alone. I didn't stop drinking for my girlfriend. I didn't stop drinking for my family. I didn't stop drinking for my job. I stopped drinking for Eric. And I put Eric first. And so you got to put yourself first. And if you can wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and be like, hey, I'm good, then you're good. You know what I'm saying? I don't need a pat on the back from anybody. I don't need somebody telling me every week, hey, you're doing a great job. I don't need any of that because I know I'm doing a great job. I know that. So to tell somebody else, I'd be like, do it for yourself before you do it for anybody else. Because if you do it for somebody else, it's fake, and it won't last. It might last a month, it might last a year, but it's gonna fail eventually because you did it for some reason other than yourself. Because if you did it for a girlfriend and you break up with her in a year, then that's done.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be with me from the rest of my life, so I did it for me.
And we've talked about that on this show numerous times. The concept of getting sober for the wrong reason and doing it for a wife or a girlfriend or a mother or a father or your children or whatever. The unfortunate truth is that those people might not be there forever. And if you take that thing away, what are you left with? Right? Yeah. And addicts love to make excuses. And if I got sober for my girlfriend and that relationship ends, an addict will make the decision to end their sobriety as well. Because, shit, man, I didn't really have a problem. I just got sober for that bitch.
Yep.
And that's a scary prospect for somebody who is a seriously hardcore alcoholic. Mm-hmm. They will make that excuse. And you get that moment where you say, hey, you know what? I've been here. Maybe I jumped the gun a little bit. Maybe it wasn't bad as I made it out to be. Maybe I got a little dramatic. Maybe I don't really have a problem. I was watching an episode of American Horror Story, and the main character is an alcoholic who had been sober for a while, and his wife had been telling him, you're not an alcoholic. You're just a control freak. And you've convinced yourself that you're an alcoholic because you want control, and that's something that you can control. And I thought that was a really interesting, if not sick and twisted prospect, that there are people who, just like people that go on WebMD and they self-diagnose themselves as having lupus, there are those people that drink too much that decide that they're an alcoholic, and then they get sober, and they're the revolving door, right? They're back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and they're the ones that are attention seekers. I worked with somebody who, I'll never forget this because it was only maybe a year into my sobriety. He came to work, and in front of the entire staff one morning, he decided at the morning employee powwow that he was going to announce in tears and all the drama you could possibly imagine that he was an alcoholic and that he had a drinking problem and that he needed everyone's help to get and stay sober because this was going to kill him. And he slides down the wall in this dramatic fashion. Oh, right. I'm an alcoholic and I need you guys. You guys are my family. Blah 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 blah. Right. And the only reason I make fun of it now is because this was an attention grab. This person wanted attention. And 2 days later, he's back out there, drinking whatever, and there was never an honest problem there. I never saw this person as an alcoholic with a problem, but it was definitely a way to get attention. And he got that attention for a little while, but when he kept doing it back and forth all the time, it got old and people stopped caring. He was crying wolf. And the sad part is that there may come a time in his life where he really does need help, and now he can't get it because nobody gives a shit. So your sobriety needs to be for you. And I love that you said that because I couldn't agree with you more.
Mm-hmm.
So, Eric, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your Saturday night to hang out with us. I truly, I know I speak for Chaz and Robinson when we say thank you.
Absolutely.
And
Thank you.
Unless you guys have any questions for Eric, or Eric, you have any parting words, I got a couple of listener emails to get to. You're welcome to hang out and stay with us for the remainder of the program. If you have anything else that you'd like to share, please chime in. But I have an email that I want to read.
Cool.
All right. Well, I'm probably going to head out, guys. Thank you very, very, very much. I've never done anything like this, and I thought it was very interesting. I definitely do it again, so I will tell you that. So even if you just have me on, just to have me on, just to shoot the shit.
Absolutely. We'd love. How about this, Eric? We'd love to have you on when you get to your 1 year anniversary.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
You came for our 1 year anniversary. We'll be here for
Mm-hmm.
yours.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely. We can do that.
Perfect. All right. Well, then, Eric, we will bid you adieu. Thank you so much for coming on, and have a lovely evening. We will see you next time.
Take
Definitely,
care.
guys.
All right,
Too
brother.
bad.
Take
All right,
care.
bro.
Well, that was excellent. I enjoyed having him on. So, what I'd love, how cool would it be if we could have a show where we had multiple guests on, where we could say hello to one guest, talk to them a little while, say goodbye to that guest, and say hello to a next guest, and have a few guests on that could tell their recovery stories. If you have a story about your sobriety or recovery, we would love to hear from you. Shoot us an email, soberhappyhour@gmail.com. I also wanted to throw out a new idea. And you guys can tell me how you feel about this.
All right.
Here we go.
So, for the last 52 weeks, we have been forcing our audience to listen to nothing but Arbor Circle music. Music written, produced, recorded, and performed by yours truly. And that's for copyright reasons, right? For legal reasons. We can't play the latest Kanye track because we don't have the rights to do that. But what we do have the ability to do is play any independent artist that we would like to play. So if you are not a BMI or ASCAP related artist, if you, listening to this show, have a band or a group or are a solo artist and you have music that is professionally recorded, please, not you sitting in front of a webcam, but if you have a song or an album or multiple songs that you would like to hear played on this radio show, it doesn't have to be about recovery or sobriety or anything along those lines, just good music. No genre specific either. I'm open-minded. We can have an eclectic mix of music on this show. But if you want to hear your music played on the Sober Happy Hour radio podcast, send us an email. Let us know that you want to have your stuff heard. We'll figure out the best way for us to get a hold of that stuff, whether you send us a CD or you can Dropbox us the tracks or whatever's easiest, best way. And if we like the music, that's the caveat here. If we like the music, we would love to play your tracks or track on the Sober Happy Hour during our musical break. So I throw that out there. I will continue to throw that out there week after week, asking for your submissions. And feel free, drop us a line, soberhappyhour@gmail.com. Let us know that you're interested.
Chaz,
Yo.
correct me if I'm wrong here, but wasn't that whole speech that he just gave originally addressed towards you and I, and it turned around and became
Yeah.
to the entire world? Yeah.
Yep.
So he bypassed the point where we got to actually make a decision, right? On whether or not we wanted this. Okay, I just wanted to check with you. My vote always goes with you. You don't even have to ask me, because if you come up with what you think is a good idea, I'm 99.9% sure that it will be a good idea, because I don't know of any bad ideas that you have ever come up with.
That is not true.
And that's a great idea.
I hope,
that really is.
I hope that I come up with an idea sometime and that you feel so passionately against that idea that you will call me out on national YouTube television and tell me my idea is awful.
If your idea is to have a drink, I will definitely call you out on that.
That's a good one. I appreciate that more than you know. So that was
be in the place where, you know, up and coming artists or, you know, whoever, if you want to get exposure, that's a great idea, Mike. I mean, honestly, let's have them. Let's
do it.
All right. Let's do it.
Then we're in it, kids. Let's do it. And we will continue to talk about this on all of our upcoming shows until the submissions start coming in. And I would love to get overwhelmed with submissions from people that want to hear their songs on this show. I think it'd be a great way not only to get bands or artists the exposure that they're looking for, but also a great way to get the show some exposure too. Because if I let, you know, Jimmy John's band know that they're going to be on the Sober Happy Hour, they're going to tell their friends that they're going to be on the Sober Happy Hour, and they're going to listen. So everyone wins. Everyone wins. Quid pro quo. And you won't get any money for it. So
quid pro, is that what that means?
Quid pro quo.
No, it means
you
this
do something
for that,
for me, I do something for you. Yeah.
There you go.
Tit for tat. All right, so I want to read this email because I thought a lot of times we get emails that are questions for us, right? Hey, I'm having this problem. Will you answer this question for me? What should I do, right? We've had emails like, my roommate drinks too much. I want to approach him. What should I do? Or I'm newly sober and I'm struggling with this. What should I do? This email was a little bit different, and it was more like what I would consider almost feedback. But I thought it was very insightful. I thought it was brave, and I wanted to read it. So if you will indulge me for a moment.
Read it, brother.
So the email is from a gentleman named Steve from Tucson, Arizona. So Steve writes, hey guys, love the show, love the format. I really enjoy how you aren't preachy and trying to tell people what to do. Here's my question. When you talk about addiction, I don't hear you often refer to it as a disease with a clear treatment. I come from a long line of addicts, alcoholics, and meth addicts, and from my own family, I can tell you that if you treat the disease, it doesn't have to be a death sentence. And when people want to talk about it like a lack of willpower or a moral compass, it makes me crazy. So, addiction, disease, sober happy hour, part of my treatment. Thanks for doing what you're doing. I know you're helping people. Sincerely, Steve. So
awesome.
Right?
I'm not fond of the word disease.
Okay.
Okay. Disease to me is like a foreign thing that has come into you that is taking over you, whereas I think alcoholism is more of a condition that we learn to live with. It's just something about us that is inherently different than the rest, and we have to overcome that condition.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Absolutely.
So I suffer from hypertension. When I was 25 years old, I ended up at the cardiologist, at the doctor, because my blood pressure was through the roof and out of control. Like 200 over 120. Like
Jesus Christ. And
like yeah, like stroke worthy shit. And I went to the doctor, and the doctor told me, "You're in good shape. You eat decent. There's no reason you're not a big fat pig, like chugging down salt water. I do consume a fair amount of caffeine, but the level that my blood pressure was at was way more than what you would get from just consuming a lot of caffeine." So he put me on medication, and ever since then, my blood pressure has been fine. So my question to you then, Robinson, with what you just shared around the disease being something that attacks you or is an outside force that ends up inside, like cancer or something like that, my hypertension would technically be considered a disease that is treated by the medication that I take. Would alcoholism or addiction not fall into a similar category? It's something that's there, it's dormant, but
I disagree with your I would call what you have a condition, not a disease. Hypertension is a condition.
All right.
Ditto. And I also
HIV
I'd like to throw
is
out
a
there that
AIDS is a disease. Cancer. Those are things that you're not. I don't know. It's just I can't pinpoint exactly what the difference is.
All right. That's fair. I just wanted to bring it up because you hear the term disease used in addiction and recovery conversations all the time, and I think the reason that it gets used is because you treat a disease just like you treat addiction, right?
well,
Obviously, the methods
I'd like
change.
to kind of throw something in here also.
Uh-huh.
Is that it seems as though the alternative to disease, like a disease model of it, is this idea of moral failure or weakness in character, and I think that's just a total, that's a total false dichotomy.
Okay.
I mean, in other words, I don't think if it's not one, it has to be the other. It's like I just don't think it's a disease, but I also don't think it's a moral failing. I think it's just something, kind of like Robinson said, it's a condition. It's something you live with. It's something that is. It may not be a part of you, but it is part of your life. It's part of your experience. There is no other way to be you without experiencing this as well.
All right.
So it's just something you live with, something you got to do. If you don't do something about it, it can get you in some serious trouble.
Right. Medication.
But nevertheless,
we have to compensate for our condition.
Yes.
In your case, Mackenzie, it was your medication, and in an alcoholic's case, it's trying to stay sober.
Right. Their recovery, a program, if you will. And I want to make it very clear really quickly too, when I mention a program, I'm not talking about like capital P, the program, what we refer to as the 12-step program. When I say a recovery program, I mean whatever you are doing to stay sober in recovery. I just want to make that clear.
Your program.
Right.
Yeah.
Your own personal way of staying sober is your program. The definition of disease, according to some asshole named Merriam-Webster, is a disorder of structure or function in a human, animal, or plant, especially one that produces specific signs or symptoms or that affects specific location and is not simply a direct result of a physical injury. Bacterial meningitis is a rare disease, is the use it in a sentence.
Okay.
Well, also it has to do, I mean, That is true insofar from a, really reductionist way of looking at it, but it also has to do with perception.
Sure.
It has to do with perception. All these things that are symptoms, the only way we really have to understand them and how they work together is we create this mental construct, an idea, and we call that idea a disease. In other words, it's simply the way that we describe what we're looking at when we see all these things put together. And so, technically, it does not objectively exist by itself. All these things simply are. And it's in our head that we have to connect these different things into a disease, and that way we can approach it better and possibly treat it. But nevertheless, it doesn't mean that it is absolutely 100% objective fact it is a disease. Because, again, disease is a concept.
I once heard a doctor describe pregnancy as a parasitic disease that can be cured with surgery.
Jesus Christ. I was
awful.
distracted for a moment because I just found a book in the office that I share with my wife. And it is probably one of the most ridiculous. I don't even know what to say. And I guarantee that I did not fund or finance the purchase of this book. I'm sure this book was given as a gift, if you will, given to, and I'm pretty certain that I know where this book probably came from. But I just wanted to show it to you guys because I was stepping on it underneath my chair for the last 2 hours, and I look down and I see it, and I'm like, what is this? And I see the picture, and then I see the title, and literally what came to my mind was, what the fuck? All right. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you.
Not seeing it.
But speak, Mike.
I can't see it.
All right. So if you can't see it, oh, that's right. I have to speak. All right. So the book is called.
Oh my God.
The book is called "Where's the Birth Certificate?"
Oh my God.
Is the 44th president of the United States, Barack Hussein Obama, illegally occupying the Oval Office? I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say. That is absurd. That's crazy. And the little gold seal on it, that it says, "The book that made Obama blink. Now read the truth. He's still hiding." This man has been president for 7 years. Are we not over this bullshit yet? And the fact is, the price tag on the back is $25.
When was it?
Yeah, when was this
When
published?
was it published?
I don't give a fuck when it was published.
No. When was it published?
Right, now I'll tell you. Hold on, I'm going to find it. I'm going to tell you when it's published. And the guy, this is the guy. This is who wrote it. You want to see this guy? He looks like a televangelist. That's the guy. Right?
That guy.
Yeah,
God.
that fucking guy. Right? Nice eyebrows, Santa. It was published in oh, there are other books in the back. The Manchurian President. That's good.
No, he's a sensationalist. He's not a publisher. He's not a journalist. He's not an author. He's a sensationalist.
Yeah.
And he likes to get people's feathers ruffled, and that's how he makes a living.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of end notes and appendices. Appendices.
Appendices.
A lot of CYAs.
Yeah, a lot of bullshit.
Cover your ass.
Mm-hmm.
This was published copyright 2011. So a couple years
Wow.
after the Obama administration began. So I
Yeah,
saw
they
that
were
at my feet. Almost as disturbing as when I walked into my bedroom and saw Going Rogue by Sarah Palin in my bedroom. My wife is how can I say this politely? She thinks she's a Republican. But what's funny is if you were to present her with any ideas or principles that, and you don't tell her where they came from, 95% of the time she will agree with and side with the more progressive viewpoint. But if she knows that it came from a progressive side, then of course it gets thrown out the window. And it's simply an.
She's never actually been to a Republican event or anything, and
no, but she did go with me.
In other words,
it is humorous.
Go on.
No, she did go with me to an Obama rally in 2008, though. Before I knew the self-proclaimed political leanings of this person.
She is Republican by proxy or by
absolutely
default.
Republican by birth, right?
Yeah.
But but she hears that the guy shot the paid to shoot the lion in Africa and wanted to go join PETA in protest. So it's like the left hand don't know what the right hand's doing sometimes. Anyway, that's why I love her. That's why I love her. So yeah. Anyway, it took me off. I got distracted when I was like, "What in God's name is at my feet?" I'm
sure it makes a very good footrest.
It does. It's a wonderful footrest.
Yeah.
There you go. Because you're so small.
Right.
Your feet dangle off the end of the chair.
They usually do, off of the end of a park bench. Laugh all you want, Chaz. You're shorter than me, bitch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really. All right. Well, I thought this was a very. I love having guests on the show. It's probably my favorite thing on the show to do is the emails and the guests. When we can get participation from other individuals, there's something just very rewarding and inspiring and motivating about doing that. So I enjoyed it, and you guys always have great things to contribute, great questions to ask, and we should do it more often.
Yes, I agree.
He agrees.
Sure.
His blank microphone agrees with me. So we are coming upon the holiday season very, very quickly, and I know that I can only speak for myself, but it's very frightening to me how quickly the holidays are approaching us yet again, because I literally just got around to taking down my 2 biggest Halloween decorations today, and my neighbors across the street already have their Christmas lights up. So the holidays are here, gentlemen.
Get with the program, buddy.
And I hate that the time just goes by faster and faster and faster every year. And so the holidays are upon us, and the holidays tend to be some of the hardest times for addicts and alcoholics in recovery, or active addicts and alcoholics. So I'd love to spend time over the next couple of weeks leading up into the true holiday season of Christmas and Hanukkah, talking about those struggles, talking about
and how to celebrate without
right, how to celebrate without giving up your sobriety.
Yeah.
Right? How to deal with your family, who you might not have to deal with for the rest of the year, and really get into some of those conversations around staying sober during the holidays. There's an old OG me only episode of the Sober Happy Hour that is staying sober through the holidays. And it was before we got on Radio Valencia, before we have our new format of the 3 of us. So we could do another SHHRP Revisits episode.
Absolutely, yeah.
and get back into that topic specifically in the next few weeks. But I will also throw this out to our listeners and our viewers. If you have specific questions, comments, or concerns around the holidays in your sobriety or someone else's sobriety, somebody that you care about, somebody that you love, that you're worried about, because the holidays can be a lonely, sad, depressing time for some people, and can be an overzealous, celebratory excuse to drink and use time for some people on the opposite side. And we want to answer your questions, lend a helping hand, do what we can to help make this a happy, sober holiday season for those of you that want it to be. So let us know. Reach out to us, soberhappyhour@gmail.com, facebook.com/soberhappyhour. Follow us on Twitter and tweet at us if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and we'll be more than happy to include our responses in upcoming holiday episodes of the Sober Happy Hour. I want to take a moment to thank our guest, Eric, one more time. He was very gracious to come on the show late at night on a Saturday and let us steal his time and tell his story publicly. So thank you again, Eric. We appreciate it. And we hope to have him on for his 1-year anniversary. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I have a pretty strong feeling he's going to be there for it, too.
I totally agree. So the bumper music is starting, so you know what that means. We've reached the end of the Sober Happy Hour radio broadcast. And I know, 2 hours just whizzes right by. So thanks again to everybody that's listening. Please be sure to subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on iTunes, leave us a comment, leave us a rating, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, add this episode to your YouTube favorites if you loved it so much. And
if you're watching on YouTube, this little button right down there. Right
somewhere.
Yeah, right over here.
It's
there
in
should
this
be a little red
general
button there that says subscribe. And yes, where you just click on that. Just click on it. The red one.
Click it.
Yeah.
It's not going to hurt you.
And I just wanted to say thank you to my friends in Vietnam who are watching and listening to the show.
Thank you, Vietnamese
appreciate your
listeners and watchers. And that's it, guys. The show is over. So if, as I always say, if you or yours is considering getting sober, I highly recommend it. And we'll see you next week. Have a good night.
See you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Until next time.
Oh, wait.
You gotta wait till I tell you we're off
Again.
air, dummy.